Ken Jennings had arguably the greatest run of all time on Jeopardy! Back in 2004, the current host of the show was a contestant, and he went on to record a 74-game winning streak. No one has even come close to breaking that record since. It is something that Jennings must be mighty proud of. However, not every aspect of that historic run was good. According to the host, recently, he revealed that he was disappointed with his choice of clothes at the time. Jennings was not happy with his fashion choices. As per a report in E! News, he recently shared a video on Instagram critiquing the clothes he wore on the show as a contestant. The first outfit was a beige shirt and a Coca-Cola patterned tie. If I'm seeing that right, that is a terrible tie, and really it's a color of shirt I would never wear. I guess if you like Coca-Cola, you're into that outfit. That's really unfortunate, he said. He also said that it would have been better had he worn a sweater over the shirt. The next look was of him wearing a cream-colored shirt with a pinstripe jacket and, once again, a colorful tie. Jennings liked the fact that he wore a jacket in this one, but was not a fan of the tie here either. He said that he had purchased it for cheap when he lived in South Korea. A lot of these were just kind of cheap dollar ties. Probably from when I lived in Korea. And you could get knockoff clothes for cheap. I bet no tie here costs more than $3 American, and it really shows, Jennings explained. Next up was a picture of him in a dark red shirt with a horizontally patterned tie, but the Jeopardy! Host was not a fan. Horizontal stripes, so it's not exactly It does go with the shirt, but in an unpleasant way. Looks like I'm wearing the Empire State Building on my chest, he added. This was followed by a picture of Jennings in a striped shirt, a checkered tie, and a plain jacket, which he believed was an okay look. However, the 51-year-old was not a fan of his facial expression. Look at that 1,000-yard stare, he said. That is actually an okay look. It's just a nice striped shirt. The checkered tie is alright, but it looks like some kid wearing his dad's clothes and not blinking. Next up was a bright yellow shirt and a tie with what seemed like several faces on it. Jennings said that he was surprised the showrunners let him wear that on the set. I think I was just trying to vary as much as possible because I thought, oh, you don't want to wear the same 6 shirts. The audience will catch on to that. So instead, I wore new, worse shirts, he added. When it comes to quiz shows, very few names have left as deep a mark as Ken Jennings. His legendary run on Jeopardy! In 2004 not only made him a household name, but also cemented him as one of the greatest game show contestants in history. Jennings' winning streak of 74 consecutive victories remains unmatched, earning him a staggering $2.52 million in regular season play. But even for someone who achieved so much, Jennings admits there's one major regret that still lingers from that whirlwind of buzzer-beating triumphs. Over the years, fans have often wondered if Jennings had any missteps or second thoughts during his record-breaking run. Recently, the now host shed light on the one thing he wishes he had done differently, and it wasn't about strategy, knowledge, or even a missed answer. Instead, it was about perspective and balance. That the winning streak that changed TV forever when Jennings first appeared on Jeopardy! In June 2004, no one could have predicted just how historic his run would become. Under the new rule change that allowed champions to keep competing without a 5-game limit, Jennings quickly became the face of the show's new era. Week after week, he dominated categories ranging from history to pop culture, often leaving his competitors in the dust. The streak lasted nearly 6 months, with Jennings returning to the show taping after taping, until his run finally ended on November 30, 2004, when Nancy Zerg defeated him in a stunning upset. By that time, Jennings had already made history. His cool demeanor, quick wit, and encyclopedic knowledge captivated viewers and turned him into an unlikely celebrity. Yet, as Jennings now reflects, the breakneck pace of his winning streak didn't always leave room for the personal moments he wishes he could have savored. Jennings' biggest regret. In a recent interview, Jennings revealed that his biggest regret during the streak wasn't about a question he got wrong or a wager that backfired. Instead, it was about not fully appreciating the experience while he was living it. When I was in the middle of the run, I was so focused on surviving the next game that I didn't really take time to enjoy it, Jennings admitted. It all went by so quickly, one taping after another, 5 games in a single day. I wish I had slowed down and realized just how rare and special that moment was. The grueling schedule of Jeopardy! Tapings meant Jennings was constantly in competition mode. Contestants filmed 5 shows a day, and for Jennings, that meant days packed with constant pressure, minimal breaks, and little chance to reflect. By the time you've won one game, you're immediately thrown into the next, he explained. It's hard to even process the win before you're fighting to stay in it again. The pressure behind the podium. What many fans don't realize is that the pace of Jeopardy! Tapings can take a toll. Contestants not only face the challenge of tricky clues and lightning-fast buzzers, but also the physical and mental strain of staying sharp across multiple games in one sitting. For Jennings, the stress compounded as the streak grew longer. Each new win raised expectations, and the weight of being the returning champion never lifted. It was exhilarating but exhausting, he said. There were days when I just wanted to go home and be normal again. That pressure made it difficult for Jennings to step back and appreciate what he was accomplishing. Instead of celebrating each milestone, 10 games, 20 games, 50 games, he was always focused on the next hurdle. Looking back, Jennings wishes he had given himself more space to enjoy the ride. No regrets about strategy, except one despite the overall regret of not soaking it in more. Jennings has surprisingly few regrets about his actual game. He has often credited his buzzer timing and broad knowledge base for carrying him through the streak, and his strategies became the subject of fascination for fans and future contestants alike. However, Jennings does admit to one minor gameplay regret: the final Jeopardy wager that ended his streak. In his 75th game, Jennings was defeated after missing a question about companies whose names became synonymous with their products. Jennings incorrectly guessed FedEx when the correct response was H&R Block. The miss, combined with a wager that left him vulnerable, opened the door for Nancy Zerg to claim victory. In hindsight, maybe I could have bet differently or taken a safer approach, Jennings acknowledged. But honestly, I don't regret that moment as much. Losing was inevitable at some point. What I really regret is not enjoying the wins along the way as much as I could have. Life after Jeopardy fame. Jennings' life changed overnight after his streak ended. He became a media personality, author, and eventual Jeopardy host following Alex Trebek's passing. Over the years, he returned for special tournaments, including the greatest of all-time showdown in 2020, where he defeated fellow legends James Holzhauer and Brad Rutter to claim the title. Yet even with his continued success, Jennings often returns to the lesson he learned from that original run: don't let the pressure overshadow the joy. I tell contestants now to really appreciate the experience, he said. Even if you only play one game, you're part of something special. Don't let nerves or stress keep you from enjoying it. A lesson for fans and contestants. Jennings' reflection resonates with many people beyond the world of game shows. In a culture where success often means chasing the next milestone, his regret underscores the importance of mindfulness and presence. It's so easy to look ahead and think, what's next? He explained, but when you do that, you sometimes miss the beauty of what's happening right now. For future Jeopardy contestants, Jennings offers advice rooted in his own regret. Take it in. Look around. You're standing on the same stage that Alex Trebek hosted for decades. You're part of history. Win or lose, that's something you'll never forget. Why Jennings' honesty matters. Part of what has endeared Jennings to fans over the years is his candor. Even as a champion, he never presented himself as flawless. His willingness to admit regrets, whether about missing a question, making a risky wager, or not savoring the experience, makes him relatable. Jennings' honesty also adds to his credibility as a host. Having lived through the highs and lows of competing, he brings empathy and understanding to the contestants who now stand where he once did. Viewers often note that Jennings' encouragement and humor on stage feel authentic because he knows what it's like to be in their shoes. Jennings' iconic winning streak on Jeopardy will forever be remembered as one of the greatest feats in television history. But even the greatest champions carry regrets. For Jennings, the biggest one wasn't about knowledge or gameplay, it was about perspective. In the midst of making history, he wishes he had paused to appreciate the moment, to savor the excitement, and to truly enjoy the ride. Today, as the host of the very show that made him a legend, Jennings is determined to help others learn from his experience. Success is fleeting, but the memories of how you lived through it can last a lifetime. At the end of the day, Ken Jennings' story isn't just about winning 74 games in a row. It's about the human